Hello and welcome to Men's Health Week 2020. My name is Laura Tully. I'm a nurse and I'm the Movement and Motivation Mentor. I'm really passionate about promoting health to men in Ireland, particularly those who live in rural Ireland and to farmers. And I'm very lucky to work with Roscommon Sports Partnership to do just that here in our own county. Roscommon Sports Partnership place a huge emphasis on the importance of men's health and well-being, and I've seen firsthand the importance and the impact that their lifestyle interventions and various programs have on men's health and well-being. So long may that continue, and congratulations to Roscommon Sports Partnership for placing an emphasis this week on Men's Health Week on men's health, and particularly with reference to COVID-19. We're just coming out of lockdown now, and the virus is still around us, but we're learning to live with it. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how men are affected by COVID-19 and give you some tips for how we can live alongside the virus in the best possible way. So what do we now know about men and COVID-19 here in Ireland? We know this virus has had a tremendous impact globally, but we now have some information about its effect on men, and I'm afraid the news is not good. Men are more at risk as a result of COVID-19. In Ireland, our death rate for men has been higher. We know that more men have been affected in terms of a more critical type of illness as a result of COVID-19. And we also know that men are taking a lot longer to recover from the effects of COVID-19, particularly men who are overweight. So it's important this Men's Health Week that we take a close look at COVID-19 and how it impacts men's health. So what's really interesting is to understand why men are at higher risk of COVID-19. And there are two main reasons: biology and behavior. So when we talk about biology of men, it's the way your body is made up. So we talk about things like your hormones, your chromosomes, and your enzymes. So in terms of your chromosomes, the way they coordinate your immunity, they're just not as well structured as those in the body of a woman. So therefore, men just don't have that chemical makeup ready to have good immunity. Also, when we talk about your hormones, we talk about testosterone in relation to men. And men have a lot more testosterone in their body. And this actually has the effect of reducing your defense mechanism. So instead of building up your defenses, testosterone can actually weaken your immune response. The other thing that men have in their biology that is different to women is that you have, in the way your cells are made up, you have a different enzyme, an ACE2 enzyme. And this enzyme has been shown to basically unlock the door for COVID-19. So if you have more of ACE2 in your cells, therefore you're letting COVID-19 into more of your cells in your body, it may be a reason why COVID-19 is having such a critical impact on men, and they're developing a lot more serious illness as a result of COVID-19. Other factors to think about are that men over 65 have a higher number of comorbidities, so they have a lot more of those underlying health conditions going on together. And then the other thing is that more men have been found to be obese, which is also a high risk factor for COVID-19. So moving on then to the other reason why you're at higher risk, it's to do with behavior. So studies have shown that men are just not as good at maintaining hygiene and hand washing practices. So this leaves them then at higher risk when it comes to COVID-19. Also, studies have shown that particularly groups of young men have not been observing social distancing. So the men are not being found to be as good at social distancing. So these will definitely have an impact and raise the risk for COVID-19. Also, their behaviours in terms of smoking and alcohol use have been found to be higher. So we know that alcohol is an immunosuppressive, and the higher rates of men who are engaging with the misuse of alcohol is leaving them at higher risk of COVID-19. Then in general, in terms of behaviour, men tend to take more risks, and they also tend to deny risk a lot more. So they will be big factors which will raise the risk for COVID-19. When we look at all of the data around health, we know that men may not have the same type of health literacy. We also know that the nature of the work that men do, so working in close environments, maybe in a confined space, may be a factor which raises the risk of COVID-19. And then just patterns of behaviour and cultural practices around sport and different clubs, and close contact through that format. So all of these factors are contributing to a higher risk of COVID-19 for men. We've also found that men are delaying the help seeking, so they're not reporting their symptoms, or they may not look for the help that they should with COVID-19 in time. So therefore, perhaps that's why men are more affected and more critically impacted by COVID-19. So we've had a look at COVID-19 and how it disproportionately affects men. We've begun to understand why that might be and the risk factors for men and COVID-19. Important now to talk about some men's health tips around COVID-19. I'm going to remind you about the best way that you can protect yourself and others in relation to COVID-19. So, as we live alongside COVID-19 in this new world, we do need to remember to continue to protect ourselves and others. This Men's Health Week 2020 is a great time to remember how important it is to follow the advice and guidelines we've been given. So important to remember to stay local. Stay within your county here in Roscommon. You are allowed to travel up to 20 kilometres into the next county if you're from a border area and need to do so. It's really critical that you maintain your social distance, a gap of at least 2 metres between you and others. So while you're now allowed to meet up to 6 persons indoors or outdoors socially, that must be while you've maintained a 2-metre distance. You need to continue to practice really good hygiene and hand washing procedures. So you need to remember your respiratory etiquette, to cover coughs and sneezes with your elbow or with a tissue, to dispose of that tissue into a bin, and to hand wash afterwards. Make sure that your hand washing practices are regular and for 20 seconds or more. Remember that you need to make healthier lifestyle choices where possible. Join me here on Wednesday when I'll take you through the healthy lifestyle choices that you can make as a man in Men's Health Week and beyond. Make sure that if you have symptoms of COVID-19 that you talk to your doctor. It's important to have a test early to detect the virus and to treat it appropriately. If you're unwell, you should stay at home and self-isolate until you've sought the advice of your GP. And it's really important now that you consider a cloth covering where appropriate. You wear a mask to protect me, I wear a mask to protect you. So when we talk about cloth face coverings, it's really crucial that they're used correctly and appropriately. I'm going to try and educate you a little bit in this regard now. So your cloth covering should be comfortable and snug. It should be a good fit. You should be able to tie it or secure it with some ear loops. It should be something that you can reuse, so some fabric like cotton that can be washed and dried, and it should allow you to breathe without restriction. Cloth face coverings are recommended for use indoors in places like public transport, shops, supermarkets, even nipping into the garage. And basically you should wear them and consider wearing them anywhere where the 2-metre social distance may not be observed all the time. So for example, if you're going to visit a household and you're going indoors and you may not be able to maintain a 2-metre distance, you should consider the use of a cloth covering. So I'm going to imagine a scenario now where I'm running down to the local shop to get some bread and milk, and how I should use my face covering. So I carry my cloth coverings in the pocket of the car. I have them sealed in a little food bag. Once they've been washed and laundered and I iron them, I place them in a clean food bag ready for the next use. So I'm going to pull up in my car outside the shop, and the most important thing I do is to carry out my hand hygiene. So if I don't have soap and water, I'm going to use my alcohol hand gel. And the one that I use is called Sanity. It's a 70% alcohol hand gel. It's actually manufactured in Clara in County Offaly. And I am going to put the alcohol hand gel, very generous amount, into the cup of my pan. And I start my hand sanitizing procedure. So I'm going palm to palm, making sure that I'm opening my fingers so that the alcohol hand gel gets in between my fingers. 500 million particles of coronavirus can live on a full stop, so you don't want to miss anywhere. You're going to overlap your hands and do the top of your hand each side. And it's really important to use lots of the alcohol gel. It should be really moist and getting everywhere in your skin of your hands. Important to do the center of your palms, the tops of your fingers, making sure you're getting into that part well, each side. And the procedure should take more than 20 seconds. Make sure you don't miss your thumb, and on the other side. I don't wear jewellery or wristwatches or rings at the moment because they can harbour bacteria, and I want to make sure that my hand hygiene practices are A1. So we also get the wrists. Now my hands have been sanitised, so I can move on to applying the face mask. Now, because I'm wearing the headset and I need to do that so that you hear the sound correctly, this could be a bit difficult, but hopefully I'll be able to give you a demonstration on how to apply your face mask. So I'm going to take the face mask and I'm going to open it out. This is a fabric, a cotton face mask, and I'm going to fit it on my face, making sure that my nose is covered. So I loop it around my ears, and I'm going to adjust it now to the fit I want for my trip to the shop. So for someone who's wearing glasses, it's really important to fit it around your nose appropriately and make sure that you're happy with it so that you're not going to need to touch it again. I re-sanitize my hands and then I proceed to enter the supermarket. I get my bread and milk and have a chat, and I come back out to the car. I place my items in the boot and I'm getting ready to remove my face mask. So I would sanitize my hands again before I touch the part of my face, and remember that coronavirus, it gets into our body via our nose, our eyes or our mouth. So I'm going to sanitize my hands before I bring my hands to that part of my face. Once they're sanitized, I'm going to carefully remove my face mask. So I'm going to catch the loops at the ear. I'm making sure that I don't touch the front of the face mask. If I touch the front of the face mask, it's the highest risk area. That's where the contamination will sit. So I'm going to remove the face mask without touching it. I'm going to grasp it from behind, and I've not touched it, only on the inside. It's folded over, it's ready to go back in the food bag. It'll be sealed over and taken home to go straight into the washing machine. Once I've removed my face mask, an important step is to now sanitize your hands again. So you're going to use your alcohol hand gel, which should be 70% alcohol or more, to re-sanitize your hands as I've demonstrated, and you can proceed to safely travel on. Important when you reach home to remember to sanitize those frequently touched objects and surfaces like your purse, perhaps your contactless card, your steering wheel, your keys and your phone. If we all do this, we can reduce the risk of transmission of COVID-19. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sanitised, and stay tuned to Roscommon Sports Partnership on Men's Health Week for more information about men's health, lifestyle changes to improve your health and well-being, and ways to detect and treat men's health issues earlier.